Good morning. Kelly Kettle. This is how I do it. I've made some alterations to it. See, it all still fits in the carry bag. And normally you don't have to be this careful taking it down, but I don't want it to scatter all around. Normally I just dump it out on the ground, but I want to show you that it has some alterations to it. I'll just leave it like that for now. The first alteration is this plug. I saw it on the internet. A fellow who came up with putting a plug in it. You unscrew that and pull it out. And I carry water in it. It has, I forget the size of this one. I'll put this in the link. If I post this video, I'll put the info there. So I bring it out full of water. To me, that makes sense. To other people, it won't make sense because it is kind of heavy. But I feel that the water is the most important thing. So I'm going to bring water. And if I didn't put it in here, I'd have to put it in another bottle somewhere and carry that. So this just saves me that effort. The next thing I did was cut down this handle. It had a larger square piece that's made it set out farther. This way it hugs closer to the base and you can still lift it and maneuver it. And as you can see, I put things down the top of it. This is a handle for the pots and pans. Also in here is the other plug, the whistle blowing plug. This will plug in there. When you boil it, it whistles. Tells you when it's done. That's the outside. Now I also have put this extra base in here. I'll get to that. So now I'm going to lift it out of here and show you that things can sit on the inside. This is a container of fire starter. It's bits of paper soaked in lighter fluid for getting it started, and I keep that in there. And then I can take out this base unit that I made. I found a coffee can container that had one of those lids that you can peel off. You can peel it back, and it leaves this ridge here, this rim around there. And I cut it in half. I cut the can in half, or a little bit, maybe a third, and then put a hole on the side, and that sets on the ground and becomes much more stable than this. This is the normal base, and it's expected to just sit on the ground like that with this on top of it. And if you don't have a perfectly flat spot for this to sit on, that is very unstable, and that always scared me. So I never wanted to use it like that. So I take the base and I put it down on that, and it hooks onto that rim. It's a perfect fit for that. I got lucky there. And this whole thing then is much more stable on the ground. The rocks underneath don't affect it, and you turn this outer hole to match the inner holes of the base. the air holes line up. You want to have those lined up. So that's how you set that up. Plus, also what comes tucked inside of this, as you know, you saw when I was unpacking it, that sets up in there. And this is more of your cooking kit. This is part that they call a hobo stove. This contains a pan, a frying pan, that you use with this as a handle. And now these are not very useful. The stainless steel, this is the stainless steel version. It's heavy, and for cooking on the fire, it's practically useless. But then also this comes, what was in there was a cup, and it has, like here I keep a expandable bellows to keep the fire going. Coffee, I was looking for that. And tea bags and matches, a lighter. This is a lighter. It's not really a bullet. And a little mouth guard, lip guard, that really works well. You'd think that would leak, but it doesn't. When you drink, oh, it's perfect. And that, like I said, that stainless steel conducts heat, and it burns everything right where that flame would touch. It automatically burns. It's very difficult to cook anything in that. So I would start my coffee. Of course, this would be, I'm not going to do it this way now. I'd pour my hot water. This would be hot, and pour it in there and make my coffee or breakfast or whatever. But I'll do that at another time. That's all for now. I think I showed everything I want to show. Oh, except for this. This is the hobo stove. It just sits on top of there instead of that. You could do that, but I don't know why you would. You'd do it like this, and you'd put your frying pan on top of that and cook on top of this. And I'll get to that at some point and show you that. Hello everybody. It's Wednesday, 1:07 p.m. April 9, 2025. And I'm going to try to show something that I've been wanting to for the longest time. I'm going to pick some wood off of this tree, and like everything else here in the desert, it's got pickers or stickers or thorns or fangs of some type. Something's going to stick you. So you got to have some kind of protection. And you always could go around and pick up off the ground, but it's not good for cooking over this stuff. It rots, and sometimes it gets full of insects, termites, ants, and when you start cooking, you start that stuff on fire, you know it right away that you've made a mistake. So don't pick it up off the ground unless you have to. Best to come over to a tree that you hope is a mesquite tree and not an ironwood tree, and pick off fresh dead stuff. Well, it picks off your hat. I'll just cut that out. Or maybe just claim I did that on purpose for comic relief. Yeah. Anyhow, you got some of these off, these branches off. And I don't want the big stuff. I'm going to be using this to illustrate how I use my Kelly Kettle to cook. I did some episodes a while back that included some use of that, but I never did it, or really did it justice. I like tinkering with that thing. Of course, that's because I'm out here in the middle of the desert with nothing much to do but cook something and tinker with fire. So that's a good start for now. I'll go with that. And it took me about 5 minutes to process all that into the proper size. Now that's key for this Kelly Kettle. You got to have it the right size. You can't you cannot overstuff that thing. I'll explain later. But there's the amount of wood that I'm going to have. Let me put that to scale. There's my size 10. Okay. So those are 3 or 4 inches long pieces of twig there. So, okay, that's it for now. And like I said before, when I'm out here using this stuff, usually I'm not so delicate as to how I unbag this stuff. It just comes out of there, and it's going to come out of there with the way it comes, which is good enough. And then you get the stuff that I went over previously of what I've got packed in here to make a go of it. It has everything I need except my tea bags. What did I leave out? Okay, I left I'm short a few things. But anyway, that's the whole kit and caboodle right there. And I'll be back with you. And now I'm going to set this up a little bit and see if I can't get it started. Okay, so we're going to put some twigs in the bottom. And you notice I'm only putting things in there that fit in there comfortably. They don't overhang any of the edges. I'm going to put some small stuff near the intake holes of the base for kindling, and yeah, these all are covered with thorns, and they've got me in the past, so I'm trying to be more careful. Ow, ow, yep, they get you. You don't want any of these to set up on the rim. And I've done that in the past. See, that one's too long. And that makes the thing very unstable. That one's a little too long too. Then we're going to get some of our fire starter. You can do better than this. I am still experimenting with how to get this thing primed. And a few big ones on top. And the key is getting the feel for how much fuel you really need to do this in stages. You have to do it in stages. You can't just expect this thing to totally cover everything. See, that fits in that base very good. There's nothing to unbalance it. Another thing that's important is to not spin that nut off of there totally, but just to
get it open. But the important thing I was talking about is don't fill this up all the way to the edge of this thing. Leave yourself a half to an inch. Otherwise, this boils over and runs down and it'll put out your fire if you allow that to happen. Get this thing set up. Get this thing oriented in the right direction, pointing down. Yeah, well, there we go. It can be a struggle, but it works. So, and this is an important thing I've done. This thing sets anywhere you want to, and it's very stable. I hope you can see that. Let me check. Nope, not quite. Over there. So, as I was saying, this is very stable on the ground. This, no matter where you set it on these rocks, that's never going to be stable on that tiny little base. Plus, if there's anything underneath that, it's going to start a fire in the ground. It can start the sod. If you're on sod, it can start the sod on fire. So you line up the intake holes in both of these and set it down in there, and that maintains its stability. That's still really stable there. So I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit and think about it a second. Am I ready to get started? On the menu will be a Mountain House beef stroganoff and some tea. And I might attempt to fry a little something. So let me get that ready. So, and the important thing is you have everything ready before you start, because otherwise you waste things. Okay, looks like I got everything prepared. I've got my Mountain House meal open and ready to rehydrate. I've got my cup with a tea bag. I've also prepared a frying pan with bacon that I've cut up in there. Now, this is just for demonstration purposes. That bacon has been in my fridge for a little bit too long, so I'm just going to cook it, see if it cooks, but I'm not going to eat it. You can do what you want. And it's going to be, you got to be careful with these titanium pans. I'm sure people know about that. So, we will now have fun trying to light this thing. Let's do it the way everybody else does it. Yep, that seems to be the best way. Right away, that will catch. Fire's already coming up. And I would time it, but I really don't care how long it takes. So we'll let that burn until it comes up to a boil. And it'll whistle at us to let us know. The flames are just coming out of the top of that. That wood is smoking just a little bit, but that's okay. And I rotated the unit. The wind changed a little bit. I can already hear it starting to boil in there. So that didn't take long. And it just started whistling, so I'll take it up off of there. First thing you do is take it off. And you'll notice how much fuel I still have. Anyway, you take it off of there. Then you pull that off. Pick it up. Pour it in your tea and your Mountain House. It says 1 2/3 cup. Boy, that's hot. Yeah, buddy. So we'll set that aside. We'll set that aside over here. And because we're going to continue to experiment, even though we don't really need to, I think, I'm going to add a little bit more fuel, just so we don't have to worry about it. And now I could, after that cools down and turns into coals, I could put that on there and grill with a hamburger or something. But what I'm going to use is this hobo stove. Get it on there level with plenty of fuel. That's working good. And I'm going to get that bacon. Put this bacon on that. And yeah, that bacon was in the fridge for a little too long. It's looking a little green around the edges. But that's just going to illustrate the sequence you can do. See, there's good fire underneath that. And you can now fry things, cook things on it. While your Mountain House meals rehydrates. And your tea perks, brews, steeps in that good hot water. The thing is that I used up all that water in that Kelly Kettle. So under no circumstances do you want to put that back on there or leave it on there for very long. You get that off of there and you move on. And I thought I was prepared, but the thing with this titanium, it's such a good conductor that wherever the fire hits, even bacon burns and sticks. So you have to watch it carefully. It's burning real good. And it won't be long that I will have coals underneath that to be able to do some cook a hamburger. Sure wish I had some. I didn't bring a hamburger, but you could put some canned chili, canned beans or whatever, and indulge yourself. See, now the wind died down, the wind changed direction. I'm not going to mess with it though. I'm just going to drink my tea. Get this stopper out of the dirt. Put it in there to protect. Beef stroganoff with noodles. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that bacon's starting to render down. I really don't eat bacon much. Too much fat. I don't know if it's bad for you, but in my mid 30s, late 20s, I got on a health kick. I realized that, okay, that fire went out. I know I have, oh, I put it inside. Nope, I put that, there it is. Start this back up. What the hell is that? I must have squeezed the key fob in my pocket. It started closing on me. So that worked out pretty well. Yeehaw. So we'll put that back on there. Don't ever do that again. Tailgate started closing on me. Yeah, the doggone wind changed direction. So, we will compensate. Just like that, man. Just like that, man. And for anybody doing this stuff with campfires or rocket stoves or whatever, I urge you to look up a process called pyrolysis. It's the way that things burn, and everybody thinks they know how to do a campfire. Very few people understand what the hell they're doing. It comes down to whenever you add fuel to a fire, you risk putting it out because wood or whatever has water in it, and before it'll burn it has to cook off that water, and that lowers the temperature and reduces the oxygen, and so that's why you don't add sticks down in while it's boiling. You're starting to put the fire out before it picks up. And then as soon as it picks up, it's boiling, you gotta take it off, and you've got this big fire mass falling over the edges. So the key is putting the right amount in to start with. And what you're doing there, just enough to boil the water. After that, you can add, like I did, you can add fuel, adjust what's needed according to whatever it is you're doing. And you're reducing the danger if you do that afterward. If you do it ahead of time or during, I've seen guys pull that off of there and flaming sticks fall out all over the place. And they don't show you. Well, they're setting the freaking woods on fire like that. It's very dangerous. I've never had bacon stick to a frying pan before, but this titanium, it does that. It'll burn wherever that flame touches, like right there, and everything sticks and burns to that one spot. where the rest of it is not really cooking that well. So this pan, I'm going to stop using it. It's just not, I do have a way around that. When I use it at home, I have this flame diverter underneath that it evens out the flame so you don't get those hot spots quite so much. See now, that's almost out. Add fuel because there's coals in there. But you don't add too much because you don't really need it. Now that's starting to recover and it's cooking off a lot of that moisture in that wood. And you got to get rid of that before that wood will burn. Otherwise, it comes up with steam and smoke. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut this off here. Oh, I will show you this though. I'm going to toss that and just show you. I'm going to let that cool. I shouldn't have added those sticks. I should have cut it off already. But I'm going to let that go a little bit longer. And then I'm going to put this grill on. Even though I don't have any hamburger or hot dogs to grill. This is what I would do if I did. Plus, bacon takes so friggin' long. Now the wind has changed again. Yeah, I guess that's okay to stop right about now. And you put your little grill on there, your little gorilla. And it sets in there. And you can grill yourself a hamburger on those hot coals. Let that go for a while. I'll let that go for a while and see what it looks like. If that turns to embers, glowing embers. I use my bellows, this thing, to, pardon me, liven up those embers. Right now that would be cooking a good hamburger. But, see how, as I don't have it, like I keep saying, I'm done with this review. The takeaways from this is I did some modifications to that Kelly Kettle. Of safety and learning how to use it and learning its limitations. It definitely has limitations. So that's all for now.